Welcome to this week's Security Report. I'm Paul McAdam. Thanks for joining us. On Monday, February 3, a private sector delegation led by Captain Jerry Gavaya, chairman of the PSE, met with the Commissioner of Police, Leslie James, DSS-DSM, and a team of senior police officers. Discussions focused primarily on the force's role with regards to its commitment to ensuring peace, stability, and security during the impending elections period. The Guyana Police Force endorsed the efforts of the PSC as a key stakeholder and gave its commitment to collaborate with a view of ensuring that all events leading up to the elections are guided by its mandate as set out under the Constitution of Guyana. And that same day, ranks of the Regional Police Division No. 2, Pomeroon Supernab, conducted Operation Safe Roads, where several cases were made against delinquent drivers. Corporal Sarwan Kumar and Constable Elton Graham of the Charity Police Station conducted an anti-speeding exercise in the district, and the following cases were made. Uncertified motor vehicle 1, obscured ID mark 1, speeding 4, faulty parking of load 1. Corporal Darrell De Silva and Constable Devanand Narain at Good Hope Public Road, Essequibo Coast, made the following cases: faulty parking of load 1, failing to behave in a civil and orderly manner 2, breach of control of road service license 2, and additionally Corporal Colin Harlequin and other ranks of the Soddy Police Station made the following cases: maintenance of tires 2, failing to produce driver's license 1, carrying more persons than permitted 2, and the Commander of Regional Police Division No. 10, Upper Demerara, Upper Berbice, Superintendent Hugh Winter, and his administrative team visited the Linden Foundation Secondary, where they conducted a lecture on topics including prevention, peer pressure, abstinence, violence in school, and moral values. On the conclusion of the lecture, Commander Winter encouraged students to stay in school, stop the violence, and to be positive role models to their fellow classmates and the public as well. A total of 500 students and 38 teachers benefited from the lecture. And 5 years after the murder of Hampton's General Stores proprietor Abdul Farouk Ghani, his handyman confessed and was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment for the capital offense. Floyd Ramit on Monday, February 3, appeared before Justice Sandy Kisoon at the Demerara High Court and threw himself at the mercy of the court as he confessed to the crime. Ramit admitted that between April 15 and 16, 2015, at Collingswood Avenue, Nandi Park on the east bank of Demerara, he murdered Ghani, also known as Brother, during the course of a robbery. On April 15, Ghani was ambushed by two men who stabbed him to his chest with a knife. The two men were seen running away from the home by several witnesses. On April 15, neighbors found Ghani's body lying in a pool of blood. It was reported that he died due to a stab wound to his heart. 4 months after Ghani's death, Ramit was arrested by police at a location in the interior. And 1 month after the bodies of a Canadian-based Guyanese and his employee were found at the No. 63 Beach Hotel, a farmer was on Monday, February 3, charged in connection with the brutal murders. Alvin Durin, 46, a farmer of No. 65 Village Quarantine, made his appearance at the Georgetown Magistrates Court and was not required to plead to the capital offense of murder. Particulars of the charge stated that between December 19 and December 27, 2019, at Sunsplash Hotel, No. 63 Beach, on the east coast of Berbice Quarantine, he, Durin, murdered Vivekanand Narpati and Hari Prasad Prashad. The police are still investigating the matter, and at least one other person is expected to be charged in connection with the murders. On Friday, December 6, 2019, at about 17:05 hours, an unidentifiable male snatched from the driver of a motor car a guest handbag containing personal items and fled the scene. The theft occurred on the Rhineville Public Road whilst the victim was proceeding south in slow-moving traffic. The traumatized female victim promptly reported the matter, and a detective sergeant commenced investigations, during which a closed-circuit television footage was retrieved some distance away from where the crime occurred. It showed a male riding through a street with the bag identical to that stolen from the victim. Based on further investigations, Tracy Jordan, 19 years old, a laborer of Lot 123 Hill Street, Alboyston, was arrested and charged with larceny from the person. He appeared before the magistrate Annette Singh at the Magistrates Court on December 9, 2019, pled not guilty and was remanded to prison. The case was initially postponed to January 13 for disclosure of statements and the video footage, and on the very occasion, the accused changed his plea to that of guilty, apparently realizing that the evidence gathered by the prosecution was very compelling. He was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment but unfortunately none of the stolen items were recovered. Additionally, the Ghana Police Force is encouraging members of the public who have surveillance cameras at their homes and businesses that may have captured a crime to keep that footage and hand it over so it can be used as evidence. Remember, make Ghana safer, be part of the team. Now for some highlights from the Ghana Defense Force. The Women's Army Corps of the GDF is celebrating 53 years of existence. Now to recap, the year was 1967, and as words spread that the newly formed Ghana Defense Force was looking to bring women on board, many of the country's young women folk were eager to take advantage of this opportunity. Recruiting women was the way forward as the young force was facing its first challenge. Venezuela had seized Ankoko in the Cuyuni River in October of 1966, and troops had been deployed to Itringban on the country's westernmost frontier to confront its aggressors. The result was a manpower problem, and soldiers had to be found quickly to secure the borders, and others had to take their place in the camps. The GDF solution was to recruit women. The role of the Women's Army Corps, or WAC, as stated clearly, was, quote, to provide a body of trained officers and women to be a ready reserve in any type of emergency and to reinforce the regular element and replace men in non-combatant duties, end of quote. On the 30th of January 1967, the GDF recruited its first 4 female officers. They were Joan Granger, Brenda Aaron, Hyacinth King, and Clarissa Hukum Chan. The other ranks received military training and also trained to be specialist cooks, signalers, telephone operators, typists, and clerks. After 6 weeks of training, the females were part of a passing out parade led by Major Neil Pullen. That first passing out parade for females was held at the then Atkinson Field drill square, which is now Base Camp Stevenson to Merry. By 1969, the Corps of Women was beginning to grow as yet another batch was recruited. The Corps of Women started as a small subunit and grew from strength to strength with the support of a great corps of men who knew and understood the reason for them being there. This batch underwent that strenuous training which the men normally endured. This included both jungle and conventional open warfare training at the Karma Battle School. In 1975, an exchange program between the GDF and the British military allowed for a batch of officers and soldiers to be sent to the UK for training. They found that the WRAC did not commence any sort of weapons training for females, but in 1975, the GDF's Women's Army Corps were already engaged in weapons training. Of the 1,000 applications received from females interested in enlisting, 200 were selected initially. However, in the final analysis, 60 were chosen. Many of them had just completed commercial school and were employed across the public service. 3194 Staff Sergeant retired Lauren Glasgow Zephyr, a first-day female soldier, migrated to the United States of America, where she went into the field of banking and finance. She is currently the vice president of the very active ex-GDF Association's New York chapter. Of the first 4 officers, Second Lieutenant Brenda Aaron was called to regular service and given the permanent responsibility of supervising the training of subsequent female batches. As a lieutenant, she commanded the change of guard parade at State House and as a captain became the first female officer to command an all-female parade. She also commanded the first female route march throughout the streets of Georgetown on the occasion to mark Ghana's first independence anniversary. Aaron climbed the rank structure and retired as a lieutenant in 1994. Joan Granger was promoted to the rank of major. She retired in 1985 but passed away sadly on June 8, 2003. Cheryl Pickering Moore and Beverly Drakes went to the USA to be trained as pilots. They returned in 1977, becoming the first female pilots in Guyana. The contributions and experiences of the women who served in the earlier days of the Women's Army Corps paved the way for the women who serve today. At the Thanksgiving service to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Women's Army Corps, First Lady Sandra Granger quoted the late President LFS Burnham as saying, "Though perhaps women should get first choice on secretarial and telephone duties, they must understand that they are soldiers and the price which they pay for equality and being in the Ghana Defense Force must be their ability to do anything the men can do as well, if not better." End of quote. Even as the former commander-in-chief had then envisioned for women in the military, today, 53 years later, it has been evident that several have since risen to that challenge, taking on roles and appointments within the military that demonstrated their performance on the same level of their peers. The only anomaly that continues in the current configuration is that women have not yet been placed in combat positions within the force. Despite this, women have been members of jungle patrols at various times within the contemporary period of the GDF. In 2012, Colonel Wendy Algernon broke the proverbial glass ceiling when she ascended to the rank of full colonel, the first in any of the Anglophone Caribbean's armed forces. Even as the former commander-in-chief had then envisioned for women in the military, today, 53 years later, it has been evident that several have since risen to that challenge, taking on roles and appointments within the military that demonstrated their performance on the same level of their peers. The only anomaly that continues in the current configuration is that women have not yet been placed in combat positions within the force. Despite this, women have been members of jungle patrols at various times within the contemporary period of the GDF. In 2012, Colonel Wendy Algernon broke the proverbial glass ceiling when she ascended to the rank of full colonel, the first in any of the Anglophone Caribbean's armed forces. Colonel Anne McLennan, who was seconded to serve in the magistracy of Guyana since 2007, was recently appointed Chief Magistrate. The achievement of women in the military not only serves to strengthen the resolves of others who serve the GDF, but also others across the discipline services spectrum. With plans afoot to foster their ability to conquer the frontiers of Guyana, the military women in a few years will know no boundaries. 99382, Lieutenant Colonel Natasha Stanford is the current commanding officer of the Women's Army Corps. And on this week's wanted list, the Guyana Police Force has issued a wanted bulletin for 18-year-old Stephen Archibald in connection with the murder of 23-year-old Kyle Chase. He was stabbed to death on December 30, 2019 at Mazroni Street in Guyhawk Park. Police headquarters state that Archibald's last known address is Lot 136 Victoria Street of Boys Town, Georgetown. Anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of Stephen Archibald is asked to contact the police on telephone numbers 226-6978, 225-8196, 226-2870, 226-7065, 911, or their nearest police station. And that's it for this week's Security Report. Goodbye.